here today to talk about our new book, Strategic Tales. So tell us a little bit about it. What is Strategic Tales and why have we made a book?
So it's a book of global stories on healthcare, and it came about, I guess, for a couple of reasons. So firstly, we're, as you know, a values-based business. One of our core values is to be pioneering, and so one of the things we try and do, although we're a young and relatively small business, is to stimulate debate and challenge current thinking with our clients and also our wider industry. So as part of that, we're fortunate we get asked to present at conferences and write articles for the trade press, and we're also because we're quite a curious bunch and we want to get some ideas out there, we do quite a lot of blogging. So last year we put together a book of our favourite kind of articles and blogs to send out to contacts and clients of ours. This year, when we're thinking of a follow-up, the other side of it is that we're pretty fortunate we get to work with kind of pioneers and experts in their own fields in the work that we do every day. So when we were planning this kind of follow-up book, we thought, well, why don't we, rather than just think about our own kind of thoughts and share our own thoughts on the world of healthcare, but interview a number of these experts, people we've met and been inspired by over the last year or so, and pull together their thoughts and our own in a book. So we spoke to people.
We're a healthcare consultancy company, but we're going off and talking to nanotechnologists. What's the point? Why would we want to talk to them?
Yeah, and it's a really good question, and I guess it's easy when you work in a particular industry or for a particular company or even on a particular product that you get a bit of tunnel vision, and that's the view of the world that you have. And in all the work we do, we try and look at what we call looking through as many insight windows or lenses on the world.
Okay.
So I think you can't get a real understanding of where the opportunities and where the challenges are, how you can build your strategies, unless you have that more global picture. So the macro trends, the business and economic trends, the societal trends that will shape the world in which you're working and you're trying to be successful.
What are your give me three sort of key things or three interesting facts about this book?
Yeah, so it's a tough one because genuinely I could probably think of, not that I would remember, but on reading there's probably at least three per discussion that we had, because we spoke to some amazing people who did some amazing work. But I think there were three kind of key things. The first one being, I guess, the lack of attention that we pay as an industry, a healthcare industry broadly, to behaviour change. So, for example, we spoke to a neuroscientist who's written a book called The Optimism Bias, and it's all about how our brains, most people's brains, are hardwired to be optimistic, to have a positive outlook. And yet, most of the health messages and also a lot of the marketing messages that we give are negative messages, they're fear messages.
Okay, what do you mean?
So, stop smoking, you will die, wear sunscreen, you'll get skin cancer. Right. Which kind of it jars with the way people's minds work and the way that they think. So, and yet then we're surprised when they don't stop smoking, they don't stop drinking, and they don't take all the medication and follow their treatment programs. But the way you're talking to them doesn't fit with the way they're thinking. So I think there's a whole area there which we're just miles behind the curve on. The second one is around siloed thinking and how in healthcare we seem to be particularly bad at sharing ideas across different functions and particularly across different countries. So again, we spoke to a guy called Lord Nigel Crisp, who used to be head of the NHS and then did a lot of work with the UK government understanding how we can take innovations from the developing world and bring them to countries in the developed or in established countries like the UK.
Oh right, so sort of a complete reversal of how you would expect that
exactly.
sort of interaction to happen.
In fact, his book's called Turning the World Upside Down, which is exactly what you refer to. And it's interesting, we will take innovations from India in almost every industry and say, this is fantastic thinking, how do we use that? But in healthcare, we don't. And yet there are innovations from countries like India of many that, so for example, it costs on average, I think it's about $50,000 for cardiac surgery in the US, only about $5,000. They do the same procedures for roughly the same outcomes in India for $5,000. Wow. So obviously you can't translate all of those cost benefits from nation to nation. However, why in these financially constrained times, why are we not taking those innovations and saying, how do we start to replicate that? How do we do a better job? And some are based around cost, and some are based around innovation, patient experience, etc. How do we start to have more of a holistic global view and share some of that best practice?
Nice.
And finally, you mentioned nanotechnology. I'm no expert in this, and I was fascinated to have the discussion. Is there are technologies and innovations, so nanotechnology being one, but many others. I do believe we are on the kind of cusp of this next great technological revolution in healthcare. And nanotechnology and some of the research that's ongoing, we're this close to being able to really deliver on, which would fundamentally change the way that we all deliver healthcare, how we create energy, how we build materials, and will fundamentally change the way that we live. So, and all of these kind of three things that I mentioned, plus others, did make me think, in healthcare particularly, we're kind of living in yesterday's world. We are on some of the technologies that exist today that haven't been rolled out, some of the ones we're on the cusp of really using and being able to deliver on, will completely change the way that, one, we live our lives, and I guess secondly, how we deliver healthcare. We're not quite there yet.
Nice. Okay. So, I mean, it's cheesily hold it up and just tell everyone where they can get a copy of this.
If you contact us on our website, www.strategicnorth.com or info@strategicnorth.com, then we can get one sent to you.
Okay. Thanks very much, David.
Thanks, Harry.
High five.